to me, it's the anticipation of thinking about it, designing it, doing it, taking out a small loan to buy it, and then making it. And then trying to figure out my really cool, subtle way to put it on and then go somewhere with my wife where she doesn't go, Jesus Christ, what is that?
The Permission to Party World Tour kicks off September 18th in Rockford, Illinois, the 19th in Milwaukee, the 20th in St. Paul, Minnesota, the 21st in Duluth, Minnesota, followed by Eugene, Oregon, September 28th. Avoid scalpers and go to Bert.com to get your lowest ticket price.
Moon River. Oh, you don't cut. Cutting is outlawed.
Oh, you are you a biter?
You have to be. I'll tell you why.
Crowns. I got crowns, they're not sharp.
No. I'll tell you the science behind it. It's not a sharp factor.
Oh, it's just a nibble.
So what happens is there's three parts to a cigar.
Mm-hmm.
There's the binder, the filler, and the wrapper.
Yeah.
So the filler, and they're really put together in like how wine is made. So you're really bringing together this meritage of flavors and complexities. And tobacco is aged, as you know, and cured. And so our mix master, this is made through Espinosa Cigars. That's who I'm partnered with to make knuckle sandwich cigars. So when I first started cigars with Eric Espinosa, he said, I don't want to make a celebrity cigar. And I said, great, I don't want to make one either. I don't want to make one called the Guy Fieri cigar. And so he threw me a cigar and a lighter and a cutter. And I threw the cutter back at him. And he's like, what? And I go, I don't cut. And he goes, you bet. And he speaks with this real gravelly, you passed the first test. That's how Eric Espinosa sounds.
The Matrix of cigars.
You passed the first test. And so what it is the top, whatever this was wrapped in, the last little bit of wrapper that they have, they'll cut a little button at the end and then they'll glue it on the top. So what happens is you moisten the cigar. I'll work the cigar for maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And you moisten the cigar and then slowly just remove that cap.
Yeah.
And then what you didn't do is you didn't interrupt the integrity of the final wrap that happens at the end of the cigar.
So where you're going like this, and it's peeling off. And
thank you. That's exactly why. Because if you cut too far, but when you open it up and you remove the cap, you will expose the end of the cigar very similar to how this end of the cigar was exposed.
Yeah.
But it's nice and clean because it's wrapped really tight.
I've made cigars. I've hand-rolled cigars. I've done the circle cap on the top. But I'm one of those people that when I didn't learn about foreplay until late. Like, so, I was the start it. Do we really need to kiss? Kind of lover.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cigars took us to that.
Last month, I was on a date with Leanne, and I said, let's go to dinner at this great steak restaurant below our hotel. And the guy said, do you guys want to...
The name of the steakhouse was Below Our Hotel?
Below Our Hotel.
We're going to Below Our Hotel. Wow.
Il Primo.
Okay.
El Primero.
Okay.
And the guy said, do you guys want to sit on the same side as the table? I was like, what? He was like, sit. He goes, I said, we were face each other, right? And he goes, well, I didn't know if you guys were going to flirt. I was like, huh? Like, I'd never realized you could sit on the same side and like touch her leg and hold her hand. And I looked around and every couple was sitting on the same side of the table. And I was like, you can flirt at dinner. Shut up. And then we flirted, had amazing sex. And I was like.
At the table?
At the table.
I got to go to Blow Your Hotel. That's a hell of a steakhouse.
Hey, pass me a lighter, Kyle.
Blow Your Hotel.
So, okay. I'm not as good of an interviewer as you are.
What?
I know.
What?
I know.
That is about bullshit.
Bullshit.
You are the pot calling the kettle black. Trust me.
No, we just did an episode of your new show, and your interviewing skills are fucking phenomenal. You're a great listener.
Last thing I said to my son in his speech at his wedding is I said, the best listener. I said it to him and his new wife, Tara. Congratulations, the two of them. But I said, the best listener is the greatest speaker.
I would track.
Right?
Yeah.
Made that up.
No, Were you always that good on Food Network when you started? What were you not good at when you started at Food Network?
When I first got to Food Network.
What year was this? 2004?
We filmed in 2005. It aired in 2006. And the thing that they used to give me a really hard time about was talking like a restaurant chef and not talking like a Food Network chef. So I was using terminology that we use in restaurants. And they're like, you're talking above the audience at home. And so when I was first in the competition, I did a show called Next Food Network Star. It was kind of like American Idol for food. So I had to listen to what they said at that point because it was part of the competition. Like you got to, change to adapt to the situation. But when I got into it, and it was my show, the first show I had was called Guy's Big Bite. And it was Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. Huge viewership.
Great time slot.
Really great. It was right after the shark vacuum. I followed up the shark vacuum and the NutriBullet. Yeah. And my first set, the first 6 episodes I had was like a prison scene. It looked like I was actually, and then it went to this really great big set. And then it went to my backyard. And then it went to my ranch.
So these were all you standing and cooking?
Standing and cooking. And I wasn't a good dump and stir guy. I mean, I wanted to talk about food. Like I love food so much. So I said, when I was in the competition, okay, I won't say the restaurant terms. But when I got into cooking, doing my own show, I use restaurant terms all the time, trying to educate the viewer. And I would say what I said, and then I would explain it in a more common way. But I was really interested in making sure that people had a chance to know kind of like what my style was and where I came from. But the hardest thing, honestly, and I don't know how much of it you've had to do, because you're such a great ad-lib you just roll everything, was the prompter.
Oh, my God.
It was my nemesis. Because you don't want to track. Like, I watch people all the time now, and I watch their eyes track. I'm like, oh, that's horrible. You know who gave me the best advice?
Who?
Matthew McConaughey. I said to McConaughey one day, I said, how, it was after I watched Lincoln Lawyer. I said, how every time you play anybody in any movie, you're always Matthew McConaughey. You're just Matthew McConaughey, the attorney. Now Matthew McConaughey, the drug dealer. Now Matthew McConaughey, and he said, I know where, I'm paraphrasing this, but it was basically, I know where I got to start. I know where I got to end. I know what I got to convey. And I know the key points I have to hit. And after that, I make it my own. So all this stuff that we were putting in the prompter was necessary. The name of the dish, the style of tonight's menu, blah, 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 blah. And I just said, and I understood how to read it. So all I did was just pick on the prompter of what I wanted to say. And then I just made up my own words in between and I would finish it. And it was always better than someone else what they had written because it wasn't always in guy speak. And then I also got over the fact that it's okay to screw up on the prompter. It's kind of like the quarterback throwing a incomplete pass. Could really get in your head and think, oh my God, I'm letting my whole team down.
Yeah.
Nobody else wants to be the quarterback. Nobody else wants to get up on TV and have to do the prompter and cook in front of people. And all those people, they're there to do their job and help you out. And if you make mistakes, don't be hard on yourself. Once I got over those two things, it was a much different world.
Did you ever have those big live reads in front of like I had 2 reads I remember that killed me. One was I had to do a live read for the next Travel Channel star and F-16s were going to fly over me. And so we had one take.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, you got the read. And I worked on that read. We're here outside the nation's capital in the best. I got it, but then I watched it and it was me doing it fast as shit with my eyes looking for the fucking planes. And then other reads were like, I'd open a theme park and they'd be like, we're outside Cedar Rat Point and the da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Did you ever have those reads where you were like
one and done? Like you get this right?
Yeah.
I did it at the upfronts a couple of times where I'm introducing everybody and
Your
everything.
Your upfronts were so casual. It was like you were meant to. I remember you'd go up and everyone would be like, up next, I don't know, Chip and Joanna weren't there yet, but they were like, Chip and Joanna, and they'd be like, hi, it's so good for you. I just want to bring family and tradition and loving back on television and get this magazine up and running. Hey, keep it going for Chip and Joanna. Ladies and gentlemen, Guy Fieri. You go, what's up, everybody? And you're like, oh, Jesus, this is going to be different. It was like pro wrestling.
Well, it turned into that thing that, again, going back to McConaughey, I knew what I had to say. I knew the key points I had to touch. And I knew what they wanted me to convey. And then I just did it my own way.
I remember when you pitched, I don't know if you remember this. You were about to unleash Guy's Grocery Games. One of my favorite shows ever. Triple D is my favorite show that's ever been created on television. If I can get onto a long 17-hour run of Triple D, I will be in the same place for 17 hours. It is great couch potato music. Can I argue with what it is? It is long form Instagram before Instagram. Because it's scrolling from recipe to great meal to great meal to great meal to great meal. Ended. Let's start it over. Same intro. Great car, great guy, great meal, great. It really is. I've watched Triple D. I ran a marathon when we were doing Sober October. I ran a marathon on my treadmill because we were checking our heart rates. Me and Rogan and Tommy and Ari, we were checking our heart rates and we were trying to see who can burn the most calories. And I ran a marathon one day on my treadmill and I watched Triple D.
A marathon on a treadmill.
Yeah.
Animal, how are your knees?
Oh, they're not great anymore.
Not so much.
I didn't know about that. But you went up and you pitched Guys Grocery Games and you're like, I'll tell you what I'm not supposed to tell you is how much it costs to make this show. And I'll tell you a lot. Guys, we built a grocery store next to my house.
They asked me to do Brian Lando, who's my partner on the show, is my co-EP, and Allison Page, who's one of my great friends, who is the president, who then became the president of the network. They came to me and they said, hey, we have this idea for this cooking show in a grocery store. And I said, well, it's interesting because Reed and my team and Jason at William Morris, and we were all talking about doing a big box show, kind of like in a Costco.
Yeah.
Same kind of idea, but maybe there were forklifts involved. I always want everything to be, I want to Bert Kreischer everything.
Yeah.
You know? So they said, well, could you help us with ours? What would you think? And I said, okay. So I kind of helped them and we wrote some stuff and they wanted to do a proof of concept show, not to air. So we rented a grocery store down in Calabasas. Will you come to LA? Will you do this proof of concept? I said, yeah, but I don't want to do the show. I mean, I'm doing Triple D. I'm doing Guys Big Bite. I'm doing enough. I just, no. Yeah, just proof of concept. So I did the show. And it was everything that we love to do. It was playing with your friends. It was food oriented. There were a lot of laughs. There was just a ton to talk about because you're talking about all these ingredients and all these different techniques and chefs from different walks of life. And we got done and I come walking out and Allison and Lando are sitting there kind of like the cat that ate the canary. They're looking at me. I'm like, they go, how fun was that? Yeah, have a good time. They said, well, what, do you want to do the show? And I'm like, no, I'm good, which I was dying. Of course I wanted to do the show. So I just held my cards really close to my chest and I said, I could probably do a couple episodes, only on the premise that we shoot it in my hometown because I don't want to be away from my kids. If we shot it in your town, yeah, my agent would have to talk about it because it's not in my contract. But you're saying, so I baited him right into it. And sure enough, we built the grocery store. And we went to my favorite grocery store in Sonoma County, which is called Oliver's. It's great. This kind of like a Gleason's here in LA.
Yeah.
Or Bristol Farms. I was a huge Bristol Farms fan back in the day. That was,
yes.
Yeah, they had a sushi guy in a grocery store. God. I mean, that was, cutting edge. So we took it up there and the team from Oliver's gave us a bunch of help, but we did the whole thing. Well, you've cooked there. It's real grocery store.
It's a grocery store and a restaurant on steroids. I remember you guys were like, if you guys need to deep freeze anything, and I was like, don't put me near that machine. I'd be the last person. But you had everything you could ever imagine. It was a real working grocery store meant for one set.
My promise, or one of the things that I was saying to the chefs when they came in, because at first we didn't know if it was going to really gravitate. We knew the home chefs and the chefs that hadn't been on TV and so forth, that they would probably come and, cook squirrel, anything we put in front of them. But I wanted to make sure that the chefs, the baller chefs, the iron chefs, the top chefs, when I wanted to get them on the show, I needed to make sure that we had every piece of equipment they could ever imagine that they needed. And then every type of food. I said, we can't fake the shelves. We're going to have 10 different variations of sardines and anchovies. We're going to have truffles in season. We're going to have prime beef. We're going to have everything you can imagine. So nobody can say, oh, I didn't get to make the best dish because they didn't have the ingredients. Now, maybe I didn't let you shop in that aisle, maybe.
Oh, that I always was like, what are the, because there was only the aisles where it was aisle specific.
Right. So there was a lot of anticipation of what was going to make that show dynamic. In 10 years, it was a long run. We've been doing this. We've over 5, almost 600 episodes. But the interest was, really, Bert, and this is again that commonality that you and I share so much, was giving my brothers and sisters a platform to play in. Giving them a chance to be recognized.
You had the best on there. We had a good friend who passed away, who one of the sweetest guys.
Oh God. Still talk about him today.
In my opinion, he epitomized New York to me. Because I would go, he used to do Opie's radio show. And I walked in and he was immediately, me and him connected. And I walked in with a handle of Tito's. And he was like, I'll take a drink. And then he was like, hey, do you want to go to a dive bar, get a cocktail? And I would get a call from him to get a cocktail. Do you want a cocktail?
Oh, you're saying it.
Yeah, let's get a cocktail.
We can't talk about Kyle. The Cuban and not drink some Santo.
And I would stop into a dive bar, and I can visualize him in a dark ar in New York that you could still smoke in. And he would just be like...
Or he'd be smoking and you weren't allowed to smoke in. Right.
God, and he was so fucking funny. When I started Something's Burning, I texted him. I wonder if I still have this text in my phone. When I started Something's Burning, I texted him. I called him and I said, hey, man, I'm doing this cooking show. And he said, Carl Ruiz, the Mad Cuban. Oh.
How do you get to save texts like that? All my texts disappear.
What year did he pass? Do you remember? It's got to be 2019.
We just celebrated the fifth or sixth anniversary. I think it was the 5th anniversary.
I was drunk after he died, and I texted, you up? And then my next text was, I miss you, buddy. Yeah.
Yeah, I got the call. I was the first one to get the call. He died at a good friend of ours' house. But it was tough, man.
You launched so many careers just from Guys Grocery Games. Well, not even Guys Grocery Games. I remember when I first got over to, I guess Scripps is what it all was when we were all working there. I remember them talking Ken. I don't remember who Ken was. Ken was like the big dog. He said, you know what's great about Guy? And I said, what's that? And he goes, think about all the businesses he's helped. Think of all the families he's helped pay their bills. Isn't that great? He goes, that's great television. And just kind of walked away. And I sat there and I was like, dude, how many businesses, how many businesses do you think, if you had just a little bit more mafia, you could have taxed them?
I've had people ask me that question so many times, like, do you get a cut? Do you get something? I go, I get the greatest cut in the world. And that is being a restaurant owner and knowing how hard it is and being the guy that gets a chance to shine the light on that business. And people are like, oh, you're the, and I said, you know what, honestly, I'm just the portal. I'm just the guy holding the light. Yeah. You're already doing this. You're already amazing. I'm just I'm just showing everybody you are. But if we could sit here and have a marathon of a show just talking about the success stories what people have, how people have responded to us or how they've come back and talked to us or told us the stories. I mean, restaurants going into multiple, 20 plus locations, putting their family through college, through medical school. I've had them where they've come and said, we were going out of business.
What do we got? Oh, thank you. I'm double fisting. Oh, cool.
I like the way you do a show, Bertie.
Jesus, Kyle?
Yeah.
Are you trying to fuck me?
And wait a second, do we get hot dogs too? Hey, cheers.
Cheers.
This is great. I don't have anything else to do for the rest of the day. This is the best time ever.
Summer ends and suddenly real clothes come back into play. Luckily, Fair Harbor makes the switch easy. This podcast is brought to you by Fair Harbor. Fall is in the air. God, I love that smell, which means your days of tossing on a tee and shorts are done. But keeping your wardrobe easy, that stays year-round. Fair Harbor's fall essentials give you the freedom to layer up or layer down so you're set wherever the day may take you. If your fall lineup feels light, here's the thing. Grab their best-selling tees, soft layers, and pants that work with everything. Does not get much easier than that. I'll tell you that right now. Fair Harbor was founded to protect the places you love. Since launching, this lifestyle brand has repurposed over 37 million plastic bottles into buttery, soft essentials made for every day. Their clothes are made from recycled bottles. This is brilliant. Join their mission and return the favor to the planet. I love this. I love this company. I love this company. God, head to Fair. And by the way, I love their clothes. This is one of their shirts that is just like a quick little light hoodie. How much do you love a light hoodie? Head over to fairharborclothing.com. This is made from plastic bottles. Shut up. Head over to fairharborclothing.com/Bertcast and use code Bertcast for 20% off your order. Once again, that's Fair Harbor, HARBOR, clothing.com/Bertcast for 20% off. And make sure to use my promo code Bertcast so that they know I sent you. Guys, enter the room dick first. I love that branding. Blue Chew isn't just a tablet. It's a cheat code for your crotch. Stronger, harder, longer lasting. Like someone gave your downstairs a pep talk and a gym membership. Blue Chew is the original brand offering chewable tablets for better sex. I remember the first time I heard about it and dudes were bragging about the thunder they brought down under. And I was like, I already bring it. And then I tried a Blue Chew. Holy cow. It's a different game. I've been playing paddleball. These dudes are playing tennis. Guys, it isn't just about performance. It's about your legacy or your third legacy. Give her group chat something to talk about. You know, when you lay it down, they're going to talk about how it gets up. Nothing makes you more of a legend than a little Blue Chew. Discover your options at BlueChew.com, and we've got a special deal for our listeners. As always, get your first month of Blue Chew for free. Just use promo code Bertcast at checkout and pay $5 for shipping. That's it. Join Blue Chew's mission to upgrade humanity one thrust at a time. Head to BlueChew.com for details and safety info. And thank you, Blue Chew, for sponsoring this podcast. How just out of curiosity, because I've now been asked to invest in restaurants, a lot of restaurants. How difficult is it? And there's people listening right now that are like huge fans of food, huge fans of yours. Their dream is to open a restaurant. What are the odds? How hard is it? What is the key? Tell me everything anyone would ever need to know about opening a restaurant or investing in said restaurant.
Best line I ever had for people in restaurants. And I would get them coming. Even before I was on TV, I had a good little restaurant company going. I think when I finally sold the restaurants, we had 8. Johnny Garlic's was one of the concepts, and Tex Wasabi's was the other. Southern barbecue and sushi. Oh, Bert, you would have lost your mind. You come in and eat great sushi, eclectic sushi, and then you just go into deep Southern barbecue with all the great sides. God. I would say they'd come in and go, hey, you know what? I'm getting ready to retire, and I've been at the power company for 40 years, and I'm a great barbecue guy. And my wife's been doing bookkeeping and accounting for the last, and she's going to retire. And we saved up some money. We want to open our own place. And I'd say, well, you know what? Bring that money over to my house. Let's set it on fire. And at least you'll get warm from it for a little bit. Because the best way to make a small fortune in the restaurant business is to start with a large one. It is the most difficult industry. You could make the best food. You can be the most endearing person, and you can be in a bad location and never see the light of day. Okay. You can have one incident that goes viral on social media, and you can be seeing red for the rest of your life. It's so difficult. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not disparaging against the industry. I love the industry. If I had, Lori and I talk about this, about when I retire, she says, if you ever retire, what will it be?
And what's it going to look like?
Well, it's going to look like Hunter and Ryder and Reed and Anthony, all those guys run a knuckle sandwich, and I'm in Mexico. Honestly, it's going to be in Mexico. And the days that my restaurant's open, I will hang a red flag out on the front door. And when people come to eat, it's whatever I cooked. And there's a limited amount of seats. When the seats are full, the service starts. I cook everything that we have that we made for the day, and the night's over. And I cook because I love people, and I love that look on people's face. That's the reason I got into cooking, is because I loved doing things for my family, for my mom and dad, who were both really working hard at their little business. They had a Western clothing and saddle and tack business in this little town called Ferndale. And the deal was, in our family, whoever cooked decided what you ate, and then it also turned into you didn't have to do dishes. So that's the whole reason I was in food, is I love food, and I was always very passionate about it. My mom had a rule. You're not allowed to ask what's for dinner until we've at least had lunch, God damn it. Because I'd wake up in the morning and go, what's for dinner tonight? I mean, I was always looking forward to it. But I think the restaurant industry is about people that love people and want to entertain and want to throw a party and want to have a good time. And I think that there's so many of them that just live paycheck to paycheck. And when I got a chance, they told me, the first thing they told me about Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, they said, you're gonna be a food critic and go around to these restaurants. I said, no, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, hard pass.
I passed the first show they ever gave me, I passed on.
Really?
I passed on a show called Gotta Get It. Primetime show, 13 episodes. They got vetted. We did the premiere, or we did the pilot. Everybody loved it. And they called me and said, congratulations, you got a pilot. I said, oh, hey, by the way, about that pilot. Because it was all about kitchen gadgets. An oven that talked to your phone with Bluetooth. And this is 20 years ago, mind you. Pour cream and sugar in a ball that's frozen and kick it around the yard and make ice cream. It was all these different little gadgets of food.
Oh, my God, yeah. Okay? Oh, that sounds, by the way, it sounds like you'd see it at upfronts. You'd sell the shit out of it ad sales, but it would be a pain in the ass to host. And 4 seasons later, you're like, another thermometer?
So I said, I'm not a gadgety chef. I said, I'm going to slice the avocado on my own. I don't need the avocado slicer thing. I don't need this shit. The only one I did really like, though, was the 2-stroke motor blender. Now that,
oh my God,
was the best thing in the world. That you could take to the tailgate, and you could blend. You could make gravel out of a boulder on this thing. It was just bitching. It's like a Vitamix on crack. So I told them I didn't want to do the show. Oh, they were pissed. And then another VP called me. They were pissed. They got all the way to Brooke Johnson, who was the big prez. And
Brooke Johnson was the gangster.
The most OG.
Like, you don't understand. Like, we're talking about the Walter Payton of what we were doing, that reality hosted television. I mean,
Walter Payton was sweetness. He was nice and easy and light and dodged. She was the Larry Zonka. Okay, she was the Lyle Alzado. I mean, nobody messed with Brooke.
I pitched her a show one time. It was called Moat Crashers. It was when Bath Crashers, House Crashers, all those Crasher shows were big. I go, Brooke, every man's house is his castle. Every castle needs a moat. What if we build moats around houses? And she goes, who the fuck wants a moat? And I go, I don't know, some lunatic will. And it's going to be
I want a moat.
I go, wouldn't it be great to watch a moat built around a house? She goes, what other shows do you have? Do you remember this days? I go, blind design. A blind guy designs your house. She's like, okay, next. And I go, here we go. Bathrooms. It's where I turn every room into your house into a bathroom. Now, it's not great for the homeowner, but if you're thinking about building a bathroom, this is the show you're going to watch. And she was like, who
let you in?
Yeah. She was like, who, man? Yeah. But Brooke Johnson called you?
So she called me. And it was the equivalent of Don Corleone. And she had a little bit of a raspy voice.
Yes.
And she called the guy. It's Brooke. Hi, Brooke. What's this I hear that you're turning down this show? And I said, yeah, Brooke. I said, when I met you, I told you that one of my things about being on the Food Network is, I'm not going to be somebody that I'm not. And I'm about authenticity. And I said, I am not a gadget cook. And this show is just not me. It's just a little douchey. She goes, excuse me? I said, douchey. Like Like, not cool.
I can't believe you said it.
Oh, yeah, no, this is really...
So, Brooke...
Yeah, the common word.
Yeah.
So we talked a couple more minutes about it, and she goes, all right. She goes, I thought you came onto this network to be a Food Network star. And I said, I came on there because my friends dared me. And I was always the one daring everybody else. And I was the one always telling people, you got to go after your dreams, and you got to go buy that building, and you got to start up this business, and you got to go ask that chick for a date. That was always that guy that pushed everybody. And I said, now here was my time to do it. And I said, and I won. And I said, I'm thrilled. I love my cooking show. It's awesome. But I never, even at that point, Bert, even when I went back to my restaurants, my business partner said, so who's going to run the company now that you're going to go be famous? And I go, be famous? Have you seen the people on this network? Emerald is Elvis. Yes, all right. Yes. You've got Rachel Ray, who owns everything. You got Bobby Flay, who's the general. You got all these people. I said, they don't need me. And quite frankly, I don't even know that they really know how to handle me.
That's what I want to pause for a second. You were such a shakeup to that network.
So, yeah. I hear stories now from all the execs that were in the meeting the day it was decided I won.
Oh my God.
And Brian Lando, who's still, like I said, is my co-EP, he said it was just a flat out conversation. Are we going to be able to get our viewers to deal with this guy with earrings? I was the only one male with earrings, bleached hair, and tattoos, who talks like a chef and is really a great smartass. And is this going to work? And everybody's like, well, we don't know. And so they went for it, and which was great because it's all changed history. But.
Well, it changed the network. I mean, looking, if you're you don't understand. I was a lifestyle viewer. Like, I loved HGTV, DIY, food, cooking, and travel, and even like Great American Country. But what the Food Network was at the time was a very, very manicured show. It was a series of manicured shows. I remember running into Giada and saying, your house is beautiful. And she goes, I don't live there.
I don't live in that house, right?
She goes, we just rent a house for me to cook at with my friends. And I was like, huh? And then you came on as a breath of honest, fresh air, where you were just exactly who you were. And anyone that worked in that network knows exactly what a shakeup you were.
Bert, they said to me, okay, I got my first studio. I did my 6 episodes. And it looked like a prison cell. I mean, it really did. If you can find a clip, the first episodes of Guy's Big Bite were so bad. And the only thing that was me was a refrigerator that looked like a race car. Because I said, I'm into NASCAR, I'm into guitars, I'm into sports, I'm into pinball, music, all this kind of stuff. So I did my 6 episodes. It did good, and they picked me back up for 13. Well, my producer, who was still one of my best friends in the world and really the greatest mentor that I had in television, this guy named Mark Disson. And Mark says, you're getting a new set. What would you like on your set? So I told him, I want surfboards. I want sports memorabilia. I want car stuff. I want a drum set, a pool table. And he's like, do you understand? None of this is going to be acceptable. It's a food cooking show. I said, well, you're asking a guy that is an all-American guy, a dad, a dude, a guy likes to party, a guy, you're asking this guy to, okay, now that's not the set. That's a set. That's the secondary set, which has a pinball machine in it. So the one that was the first season, first 6 episodes, whatever that is. So he comes back and he goes, all right, we'll see what we can do. I walk in, and he walks me in to shag carpet and veloured tinted window glass and trophies and surfboards and tons of license plates and a drum set and electric guitar. I don't know how to play any instruments, by the way. And pinball machine and a bumper pool. And I'm like, this is it. You know how many people would go up to me and go, is that your house? Is that your house?
Yeah.
And really, I got so tired of people asking me if that was my house. I finally went to Mark and the network and I said, I'm done. I got to shoot at my house.
Yeah.
And I had just built a new kitchen at my house, and I knew what I was doing because, like you, I'm a student of the environment. You pay attention, and I knew what I need to have. So I built really high vaulted ceilings in my kitchen with big exposed beams that lights could go to. And I said, no, come see my house. And they walked in and said, we can shoot this. So anyhow, I don't know where the hell we were going.
No. Go back to Triple D, because I love that the network's note was you go in and you're a critic.
Oh,
what? And I imagine that from a network perspective, it would be fun for that drama moment of you going, I don't like it.
I'm not. It's like, have you ever met Gordon Ramsay?
Yes, no, I haven't. I don't know.
Gordon's one of the nicest people you ever meet in your life.
Yeah.
I mean, in life. Sweet is an understatement. This guy talks to his fans, takes care of his team, the whole thing. So, but the other side of Gordon is the hard chef. Mm-hmm. But I think everybody thinks that Gordon's really hard all the time. Like he's, Gordon nice? God, he's one of the nicest guys in the world. I mean, a really close friend, and I can't say enough about him. So my thing with, I don't want to be a dick. I don't want to come in and tell people bad. I'm not into that. That's not my energy. I come from hippies. Yeah. I mean, we're all about positivity and positive energy. And look, not that I don't. What did we say when we were talking on Feast Club? Don't worry about the sharks in the water.
No.
Just swim your ass off.
Yeah.
Don't sit there and listen to the bad energy. And I say to people all the time, like, how do you handle that negative comments? I said, Bert, if you came to me and said, hey, guy, you don't, that didn't sound right, or that doesn't look good, or that shirt doesn't fit you, or I'd listen to you in a heartbeat. But for Joe Schmo to, sit in his basement in his mom's underwear eating Cheetos to write a comment that he doesn't like, you could picture it.
Yeah,
I've
pictured it many a night.
The Guy Fieri sucks, or, what a dick, or whatever. I don't care that you think that. I mean, that's your opinion. Not that you're wrong. It's your opinion. Feel great about it. Go to the bank. But it's not gonna move me. So I was that way. That's how my parents raised me. Is we were always into the good energy stuff. So anyhow, I didn't want to be the food critic. They said, okay. You're not a food critic. You go to mom and pop restaurants and you check them out and you try the food and you talk to them. And I'm like, I'm a mom and pop restaurant owner. Shit, I'd love a show to come to my restaurant. That'd be awesome. I'm happy when the news would show up. And I said, okay. And that's what got it started. And then, it had to pivot. We had to pivot the style that they were going for to what I was willing to do. Because again, I wasn't in this attitude of take it or leave it. I was still a student of learning TV, and I'm still a student today about trying to learn what you do. I mean, your empire of this podcast world is so amazing. But as soon as you think you know it all, you don't know shit, And my dad used to tell me all the time, the older I get, the more I realize I don't know anything. And so I went into this with an open mind, and we just kind of learned it and developed it and grew it. But man, you're so right. It is what it does. I probably would have stopped the show. I probably would have stopped being on the road 10 years ago had this not been the golden ticket for a restaurant. It is like hitting the restaurant lottery. Not because of me. By no means because of me. I mean, I try to tell people, quit giving me accolades for it. It's not. They're already out there. All I'm doing is shining the light on them and saying, by the way, I know you like to go down Broadway all the time and eat at all the restaurants, the big fancy sign, and that you see all the advertising and so forth. But you know what? Go right over here about 3-4 blocks off of Broadway, and here you'll find,
It's the best. It's a Korean fried ravioli, and that you'd never think of, and you were like, huh? It's such a genius show. And what I love about it, and this is the backstage gossip that you always got as talent and as someone who worked at the networks, was like, there was a period when I was doing a show and our exec said, you need to take a note from Guy Fieri and Anthony Bourdain. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, they are on their shows. The network is producing their shows. Right now, you're doing the network show. How do you make it your show? And
great advice, Jesus.
Yeah, well, he left the network shortly thereafter. Meaning like 5 days later, he quit. I swear to God. Shout out to Stone. Yeah. I could call him right now and go, great. He literally quit the network. And then 5 days later. But his advice, his going out advice was, watch their shows. And you'll see that you're watching them. You're not watching Food Network. You're watching them. And their show happens to be on Food Network.
One of the things that I think you subscribe to this is that I never put all my eggs in one basket. I never had to do it. People say, is this a dream come true? I said, to be honest with you, I never even dreamed of this. When I got my star in Hollywood, Walk of Fame, one of the greatest moments of my life. Because I got the star, yes, but because my whole family was there. My dad had just been diagnosed at that time with pancreatic cancer. And I'm thinking, if my dad's not there, I mean, my dad was my greatest hero in the world. I mean, both my mom and dad are incredible people. But I said, no, I didn't dream this stuff. And not because I didn't dream big. I dream big.
You can't be a restaurateur and not have big dreams.
All I wanted to do is I wanted to be a great dad. I wanted to be a great husband. I wanted to be the friend you call, that you can always count on, that you always trust and believe. And I wanted to be a chef and a restaurant owner. That's all I wanted. And a restaurant. I just wanted to make enough money to have some badass hot rods. One of my best friends, Baglietto, and I we call him Bags. We're standing out in front of my restaurant opening night, and he's staring at there, and we're looking at the big neon. He goes, Guido, you know why you're going to be successful? I said, because I'm a good cook. And he goes, no. It's because to fulfill your car needs, you're a junkie. You got this car issue. And I was laughing our ass off. But it was, I wanted to have, cars were my junk since I was a kid. And I lived in a really small town, and there was a few people, the Latore brothers had these badass trucks. Steve Borges had this badass truck. Blake Alexander had this killer, Trans Am. And I was this poor hippie kid that, drove his dad's old Ford. And I'm like, man, one day I'm going to have that Camaro. I'm going to have that Corvette. I'm going to have that, I'm going to have that Z. I'm going to have that lifted truck. I want these things. So you got to have goals.
Yeah.
Mine were just materialistic, small-minded redneck kid goals.
Yeah.
But whatever takes you over the finish line.
Lately, I've been reaching for the same thing for lunch and dinner multiple times a week. Goodles. Goodles tastes just like mac and cheese, the mac and cheese we grew up with, the mac and cheese we know and loved. But this is packed with protein and nutrients. And the newly launched single-serving cups are perfect for your child in college. Your child in college who is eating crappy every day, you can send them this and know that every serving of Goodles mac and cheese has 14 grams of protein, 7 grams of fiber with prebiotics, and 21 vitamins and minerals from real plant sources. And they have amazing varieties of flavor. Plus, they're vegan and gluten-free options. It's a low glycemic index food, which means it provides steady energy instead of that carb crash you're used to. And on top of that, it's kosher and clean, label purity award certified. I'm telling you, I send these to my daughter. I don't tell her all the good stuff about them. I just send them to her. She loves them. Isla eats like every college kid. Georgia eats more healthy, but with Isla, you got to sneak it into her like a baby. And I'm telling you, I know that kid's getting the protein she needs, and everyone knows how much we need protein in our life. This is what I do. Get yourself some Goodles. I know you're going to love them too. Pick up Goodles on your next shopping trip. It's available nationwide at Target and Walmart, plus other major grocery stores and retailers. And don't forget, get the new single-serve cups and send them to your kid in college. Feel organized and confident in your finances with Monarch Money, an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean interface on your laptop or your phone. And right now, just for our listeners, Monarch is offering 50% off your first year. Monarch is built for people with busy lives. If you put off your organizing your finances, like myself, Monarch is for you. Monarch does all the heavy lifting, links all your accounts in minutes, and get clear data visuals, smart categorizations of your spending, and real control over your money. Monarch isn't just another finance app. It's a tool real professionals and experts actually love. Named the best budgeting app of 2025 by Wall Street Journal. No more guessing. No more hiding. No more, I didn't realize we spent that much money. Let me tell you something. This is if you are like me and you run away from your finances and you don't want to know anything about them and they overwhelm you and you give them anxiety and you just tell your wife or your husband, can you take care of that? This is a great app for you guys to learn together with. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code Bertcast at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code Bertcast. Well, let's talk about small materialistic redneck kid things. But I also want to plant the seed, and don't let me forget, I want to talk about, not yet, But I want to talk about being a dad, having a great dad, and what it means to be a dad. Because I always think the person listening right now is some guy that's just like us, but his dreams aren't achieved yet. That he's just going like he's 33 and he's like, will it happen for me? And am I doing the right thing? So I want to talk about that, but let's talk about redneck materialistic things, okay? What was your first piece of jewelry?
First piece of jewelry.
Where you're like, okay, here we go. I'm dropping $5,000 on something I don't know if I can afford.
The jewelry that I bought.
Yeah, for you. Because the first piece of jewelry I bought ever for myself, a $10,000 Submariner, and I was in Vegas. It was very recent. And I went in and I said to Christine, I said, I'd like to see a Rolex, please. And she pulled it out. And she goes, this is the one you'll buy. I went, well, I'd rather see a list of them. And she goes, this is the one you'll buy. I said, well, I'm not certain that that's the one I want. She goes, this is your watch. You can buy it now or you can leave. And I went, well, hold on. Let me text.
I've been thinking about that watch.
Yeah. No, I texted Tommy. I texted my dad. And I texted Leanne. And I texted 3 people I trust the most. And I said, Tommy said, it's a great piece, buy it. My dad said, buddy, you've earned it, buy it. Leanne said, take a walk around the mall. If you still want it, go buy it. So I walked out and Leanne called and goes, did you buy it? And I said, it's $10,000. It's a lot of money. It's a lot of fucking money. And she goes, hey, you work hard. You deserve it. I walked in and I bought that. I walked in and she goes, I told you this is your watch. She already had it wrapped. I bought it, put it on my wrist. And I, from that moment on, was addicted. That feeling.
Remember when you were a little kid and you got a new pair of shoes and you ran out of the shoe store
and to show everyone how fast you could run?
You could run, exactly. You could run so much that you'd look at them, you'd clean them, you wouldn't wear them and get them dirty.
Yeah.
And you when you walked out with that gold, with that Rolex, that Submariner,
doing everything with my left hand.
You could have you were dragging your balls down the street. I mean, you were so badass.
Hold on. The night, do you remember the night? Do you remember the night that we did Vegas? By the way, I'm keeping this in. I don't care. And me and Tommy, instead of paying Shane Gillis, we bought him a Rolex. We bought him a Submariner.
I love it.
And he went on stage and he kept doing this with his left hand. He'd never had a watch on. And he kept doing this. He kept doing this. And he got off stage. He goes, I couldn't stop focusing on my fucking wrist. And it was like, but I know that feeling. So what was for you the first piece of jewelry? Because you have some of the sickest jewelry. We've gone to parties where kids have said, can I try on your jewelry? What was the first piece of jewelry you bought where you're like, you came home and you're like,
I was always a jewelry junkie.
Really?
I mean, from young age. And, my parents bought me a couple of chains. I had a really great pinky ring that my wife Lori, when we were dating, lost at my cousin's wedding. I was devastated. But I think the first big one I bought is I went to an artist. I'm Italian, Fieri, and always had an Italian horn. And I went and had this jeweler make me this gigantic Italian horn. I mean, it must have been, I still have it. Actually, I think Ryder has it now, or Hunter, one of them. They fight between, you said you gave it to me. You gave it to me. Anyhow, it's about that long. It's gold with a bunch paved with diamonds in the center. And I think I spent maybe $8,000 way before TV.
Really?
And I went and had this made. I mean, I had 2 restaurants.
This is before television.
I was dropping some coin on this, but I had to have this really badass. And again, the friends I'm hanging out with, nobody is running around with big, I didn't have big gold chains so it was a good sized chain, but this thing was a honker. I mean, it was like, people would go like, is that real? My friend, that real?
Yeah.
So I think that was the big one. But it was funny because when I went to Food Network and I was on the show, Bobby Flay said to me in one of the episodes, the question we have is, are you a chef or a jeweler? And he grabbed my hands and puts them out in front of the camera. And I have these 2 pinky rings that I would wear for Hunter and Ryder, because Ryder was just born and Hunter, and I have these pinky rings. I still have pinky rings. And I wore them through most of their life, and I saved them now because that's something they're going to get when they have kids. I just want to do that, just, memento type thing. And that was kind of the ongoing joke about it. But now I've always been a jewelry junkie. And it's so funny because I don't know if it's an Italian thing. A lot of my Mexican buddies, they have the same thing. They're into a bunch of gold and jewelry. But now my wife really thinks I have a problem. She says, you're 57. You're a chef and a TV producer. And you have gigantic jewelry that you look like a rapper. And I'm like, does it really look like a rapper? And she's like, yes. And I'm like, yeah, doing it right then.
Do you buy anything for occasions? Like if I do something big, Leanne will usually buy me a watch. If I do like a TV show or a special or a big tour, I get a gift. But Leanne believes that you should commemorate large achievements with something.
Leanne, can I get you Lori's number? Can you guys get together and talk?
Or is it just whimsical?
No, I'm a real curator of things. Before I ever get a tattoo, my tattoo artist has done 99% of the tattoos on my body. A guy named Joe Leonard, one of my closest friends. Probably one of the most renowned, regarded tattoo artists that I've ever met. And, you know, like to get a tattoo is 6-8 months. And I would make Joe draw them on me first before I would ever have him tattoo me.
Really?
And I'd wear it around for a day just because I wanted to make sure that it was okay.
Oh, is this his Instagram?
Said, God, you guys are so quick.
God, he's fucking good.
Oh, he's such an amazing artist. And he did all the illustrations in my cookbooks. He's done a bunch of my illustrations. So Joe, so anyhow, same thing with my jewelry. So I have an artist named Dan Corbin, long childhood friend, became a jeweler. He makes stuff. Another guy named Matt Booth, who's a real uber artist, that has a group called Room 101. Then I have a jeweler down in LA that I deal with, and I have a Daniel over in New York. So I have my so as I conjure ideas of things that I want to do, I'll kind of put it out there and I'll draw it on paper and I'll talk about it. But to me, it's the anticipation of thinking about it, designing it, doing it, taking out a small loan to buy it, and then making it, and then trying to figure out my really cool, subtle way to put it on and then go somewhere with my wife where she doesn't go, Jesus Christ, what is that? But I will tell you the funniest jewelry story in the whole world. This is my favorite jewelry story in the whole world. My best friend, this guy named Rich. Richie and I do everything together. And he's a jewelry junkie as well. And for my birthday, it's about 4 or 5 years ago, he is so excited to give me this gift. And I'm really excited that he's going to give it to me finally. Yeah. He says, well, your birthday's not for a month, but I want to give it to you. We're hanging out at Christmas. And he says, I want to give it to you. So he goes up and he comes down. He brings this big box down. And I open this box. And there in the box, I wore it to your show that night, is a solid gold set of what would be called brass knuckles.
Yeah, I remember this.
But completely paved in diamonds with my logo of Knuckle Sandwich, which is the band you have on the...
Yeah.
And he goes, here you go. I look at it, it's paved all the way around. I'm like, it weighs over a pound.
Yeah.
Like, what? So I take it as he's talking to somebody, and I take off this big gold rope chain I have, and I'm weaving it through the fingers. And he goes, what are you doing? I'm like, well, I'm putting it on my chain. But it's real size brass knuckles.
Yeah.
I mean, it's this big.
Yeah.
And he goes, no. That's not to go on a chain. I said, what am I supposed to do with it then? He goes, I don't know, like friends come over and you like show it to them. I'm like, hey, anybody want to see the solid gold thing of brass? I said, no, I'm wearing this on a chain. He's like, it's not meant to be on a chain. So anyhow, I found the artist that made it and I sent it to him and I said, put a bezel on this thing and I'm going to put it on a chain. Have you ever worn a pound and a half of solid gold around your neck?
I have a picture of my friend's son with it around his neck at the Super Bowl. I'm almost certain. Tracy and Matt Schmidt. It's so funny that those kids lost their minds over that necklace. And I think I ended up putting it around my neck. It's heavy as fucking shit.
And the rope is so big. You know, the chain, the Cuban link that I put it on is so big.
Yeah.
But it's so funny because my wife's very subtle and very easygoing and, you know, not into all the flash and bling. But yeah, she still shakes her head at me when I wear it.
Tracy and Kevin, I'm going to send this to you. Who do I send this to? I'm going to send this to you, Halston. And this is...
Oh, there it is. There's Gordon wearing it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
So Gordon and I do this little thing. Like I said, good buddies. And I can do a couple accents, but I can kind of pull off a bad English, Australian, New Zealand accent, whatever you want to call it. And we do this thing when we see each other at the Super Bowl, where he makes his comment about the Super Bowl like me.
Yeah.
And then I make it in his accent. And talk about a viral message that we sent out. It's hysterical. But that's him wearing my jacket. He says, what in the hell is this? It's ridiculous. Is it gold? Is it lead?
How like, you're not supposed to have a successful marriage. Like, that's just how, on paper, you and I are supposed to have 4 failed marriages, been through rehab a couple times, not have a good relationship with our kids, and be successful. But how come you do? Like, what's your secret?
I think it's the same secret you came from. One, very involved family, parents. My parents came out in the 60s. They were hippies, not dope-smoking hippies. My mom says I always have to explain they weren't dope-smoking hippies. Yeah. She was just a redheaded school teacher, and my dad was a ex-submariner out of submarines from Vietnam. So great parents, first and foremost, great parents. Second, really hardworking determination, and a wife that had the same hardworking determination. She was a great support me in whatever I wanted to do. And also very hardworking, got her college degree, the whole thing. Hitting this stride at 35 was really, I think, the difference. Hunter had a chance to be raised as an only child, because we didn't have Ryder until he was, until Hunter was 9.5.
Was he in an accident?
Who, Ryder?
Yeah, was he in an accident? I was one of 10 years.
No.
10 years is such a difference.
No, you know what it is I don't believe to run out and the 2 bulls on the hill, the old bull and the young bull.
Yeah.
And the old young bull says, you want to run down there, and the old bull says, let's walk down. And
yeah.
So,
Kyle, do you know that?
No. Oh,
by the way, wait. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Tell them the one you were about to say.
Yours is with the pause.
Well, one time I benched 325, and I had to explain to everyone that I worked with that I am the big dog that sits on top of the mountain with his paws crossed, perched, waiting for the young dogs to come up. But as long as my paws are crossed, I'm not worried. And so
I like that.
His is the young bull says, why don't we run down, each of us, and go fuck one of those cows? And the old bull says, why don't we walk down and fuck them all? It's a great fucking... It's a great...
And I give all that to Robert Duvall in Colors. Colors. Yeah. Remember the movie Colors?
I lost my virginity to the song Colors. Not the best song to lose your virginity to, but yeah, Colors. I am a nightmare walking psychopath.
That's it. 2 50-year-old guys rapping. There we go.
It's okay. My buddy lost his virginity. My buddy Pete lost his virginity.
To Winnie the Pooh.
No, to Monster Mash.
Oh, Jesus.
The worst song to lose your virginity to. He goes, it was October. It was Chicago. It was cold. I was in the back of the car. The song changed. I couldn't pick what song it was.
But the fact that he told you.
Oh, amazing.
So it was that. So it was getting the launch pad at 35. Getting the launch pad at 35, I'd already been through trials and tribulations of restaurant openings and all that, all those shenanigans. I was very confident in who I was, because by then, it's like I asked Hunter not to get married until he was 30. He got married at 29 something. But I don't think you know who you are when you're 21, 22, 23, 25. I think you really need to get some time in the saddle before you do it. And so I was very fortunate that I'd had a good experience being a dad for the first time with Hunter. We were pregnant with Ryder. Restaurants were doing good. Had a great collection of friends. And, the opportunity came. And I remember saying to Brooke, when I turned down that first job, that first show, she said, you may never get another shot. I said, I've had the chance of a lifetime. This has been so amazing that I got to come and do this. And I said, if that's all this is, then that's all this is. But I said, otherwise, I'm just not. And they were so bewildered that I wouldn't move to New York. We'll pay for an apartment. We'll give you. And I said, I don't need it. I don't need the money. I mean, of course, I'd love the money.
Yeah.
I don't need. And the crazy thing is Jason Hodes, who's my agent, been my only agent for the entire time. And he said, your ability to say no is one of the strongest attributes, because you create the dialogue. You set the tone. And if you say no, it's no. And there's just so much, and I don't go around flaunting that. It's not like a...
You don't, and I know you don't, because I know there's certain things you've said no to, and I know there's certain ways you run your business differently. In the middle of successful businesses, you've switched the dialogue and done it your way. And I won't get into detail, but especially with Triple D, where it was dialogue within us talent, where you're like, fuck, I didn't know you could do that. And it was just the fact that you did not give a fuck.
Well, giving a fuck and not can sometimes be misinterpreted. I always care, but sometimes it's what do you care about? And I was just never money driven. I was never money driven, even as a kid, even as a person. My dad would ask me sometimes, how much money do you have in your checking account? I said, I don't know. And he goes, that is the worst way you can be. And I said, Dad, I know that I have money and I know that I'm not bouncing checks, but I'm not going to sit there and stare at it because that's not my motivation. My motivation is not to be successful in the restaurant so I know that my bank account's fat. My motivation is every guest that comes in and out of that restaurant has an amazing experience. And so when you pick what your poison, pick what your target is, I think that gives you a much better chance to work within your realm. Because when you try to make your motivation something that's not you, then you can start to do things for the wrong reason.
Last night was the first night I drank in a while, and I'm saying a while because I've been using these bad boys. Have you been looking for a way to relieve aches, a natural way to relieve aches and discomfort? These CBD gummies from Cornbread Hemp are formulated to work with your body, not against it. I've been burning it in the gym, and I've been wanting great night's sleeps. One of these bad boys, and I am out. Cornbread Hemp CBD gummies are made to help you feel better, whether it's stress, discomfort from working out like I've had, or you just want a little bit of relaxation. You just want to get in the hot tub, relax, take a look at a tree, be grateful that that tree's there to provide shade to your house all day, because these things are great. You know why they're great? Because they only use the best part of the hemp plant, the flower, for the purest and most potent CBD, formulated to help relieve discomfort, stress, and sleeplessness. All products are third-party lab tested and USDA organic to ensure safety and purity, and these will be coming on the road with me on the Permission to Party World Tour, because not every night do I want to have cocktails. Sometimes I want to get in bed early, get a great night's sleep, wake up, get to the gym, and feel awesome. Right now, Bertcast listeners can save 30% on their first order. Just head over to cornbreadhemp.com/Bert and use code Bert at checkout. That's cornbreadhemp.com/Bert and use code Bert. Fall's here, guys. Football season, yard work, maybe even hunting trips. But let's be honest, staying fresh can be a challenge. That's why you need to hear about Mando deodorant. From pits to just about everywhere else, Mando high-performance odor control and sweat control that actually lasts all day long. Forget those colognes that just mask the stink. Mando blocks odor before it starts. One stick, two jobs. It's the coverage through double overtime games, that weekend project, even those extra long pre-holiday shifts. You're good. It's not magic. It's science. It's so simple. 1 or 2 swipes under each arm keeps you fresh and dry all day long. Safe for all skin types, doctor-developed, high-quality, premium ingredients. Every ingredient serves a purpose. No fillers, no junk. And let me tell you something. I just explained to my assistant Kyle the other day. I said, you get in front of the stink before the stink shows up. He was putting cologne on everything. I said, bro, gave him a Mando. I said, keep that in your backpack. And now that kid smells like he's brand new. Mando starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice. I chose the mini body wash and the deodorant wipes, and free shipping. And as a special offer for our listeners, new customers get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. Use code Bertcast at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide plus free shipping. shopmando.com. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Mando's got you covered. With deodorant plus sweat control, say goodbye to sweat stains and hello to long-lasting freshness. When Leanne and I first started dating, I wish Leanne would walk up right here and tell this story. When we first started dating, she said something about money to me. I think right when we got married. And I said, I can never talk to you about money. I said, money's not the reason I do what I do. I do what I do because I love it, and money will show up, I promise.
Can you just pick that straight out of my mind? Because that's exactly what I was just going to say.
As soon as you said that, I went, and Leanne is focused on her bank, and she is very goal-oriented, number-oriented, and I have this, we can do that, and I just said, I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with it. Even when I would deal with it, I remember one time I did a show in Aspen, Colorado, and the payday was $25,000 for one show. That is crazy as a comedian. And I didn't know what that meant to us. All I knew is it had to mean we had a few months clean and clear. I walked in and I threw it on her desk and I went, what do you got to say about that? And she said, well, you got to remember we only keep half. And I went, what the fuck? I was like, what are you shitting in my Cheerios? I just made $25,000. That's a lot of fucking money.
Oh, you're paying for a new driveway in some part of California.
Yeah, she has very different me, but I money was never, and when it showed up, I was grateful for it, and I like money now, but it's never been the driving force behind what I do.
And that's so funny that we share that commonality because
we share a lot of commonalities.
I love what money can do, but I don't like what money can sometimes create. And I think that sometimes people get too enamored with it and start to make decisions. I was telling a story the other day in a meeting about running restaurants down here in LA, and I had a server that worked for me and got a job to do a adult diaper commercial.
Oh,
which was going to pay big. Now,
I was going to say adult diaper restaurant, and I was like, I'm fucking listening.
Now, wait a second, so you don't have to get up.
All you can eat adult diaper restaurant? I'm loving this.
Here in your think tank dojo, that might actually now become something. I can see the phone call I'm going to get. So the food comes by on a trolley, and you don't have to get up.
And you get to watch other people silently shit themselves. Just,
wow, look at him. Must really like that omelet. I don't know what the hell I was going to say to you.
You were talking about the adult diaper.
Oh, yeah. So it comes to me, and I said, and this is before things would follow you on social media forever. I said, hey, I'm just saying to you, it's a lot of money. That's great. But when you become a big star, do you want that adult diaper commercial following you around that you did that? I said, so don't, really, what's your focus here? Like, what's your long-term goal? Because, it was big money. It was like $7,500 or something. It was a lot of money for a waiter, in 1994, 3, whatever. So you think about that, you were in college at that time. So that's the thing is I just sometimes, and I will watch people that will take shows and do things. And I'm like, is it really you? You want to really do this? And it's hard when people need money and people, there's not as many shows being produced right now and people need things. And there's sometimes I think putting themselves in a situation that doesn't let them shine. I always, say, let's look at who the production team is. Let's look who the host is, what kind of budget do they have? No one usually knows that going into the show. But I said, let me back channel this a little bit. I'll get you some insight, some awareness. I don't want anybody to make a move that puts them back on the board, that takes them backwards on the board.
But you have opened so many different businesses in so many different ways. Now, I have a weird question. Out of all the uses of your name, meaning anytime I don't know what that's called, but when you greenlight, they go, it's Guy Fieri's ... Guy Fieri's ... Which out of all of them, including Donkey Sauce, including all your restaurants, your tequila, your cigars, everything you've done, which do you, and I know the answer, which do you think makes people the happiest on a daily basis? And I have the answer. I have the answer because as a fan of yours and a friend of yours, there's one thing you've done that I don't even know if you probably make money from anymore, but it's the greatest thing you've ever done in this world. I hope you say it.
Besides television.
Besides television, yes. Yes, this is one of your side ventures. I'm gonna whisper it over here so they can see it. Okay. I can't do it because it's too complicated. I'm going to whisper it in the microphone so that it's once heard, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
What do I think has brought people the most happiness?
Yep.
I have to say the burger joint on Carnival Cruise Lines.
Austin, what did I say?
Is that what you said?
Without a doubt. Without a fucking doubt. It is without a doubt the greatest thing you've ever given to this country. Without a doubt. Without a fucking doubt. It is the greatest thing that is. I've never enjoyed something more at 4:00 in the afternoon, before a dinner, before a nap. What do you want on it? What do I need to pay? Nothing. It's yours. Hey, how many mushrooms can I get? As many as you want. Do you want more onions? I would load it up. 2 burgers? Can I get 5? Sure, we can do 5. It is the greatest thing you've given to our culture, to our humanity, to this. There is not one leader, Nelson Mandela. I'm telling you, not one person has accomplished what you've accomplished. To the average American, to feel like it must have felt to be in the Victorian age, to be Marie Antoinette and go let them eat cake. It is the greatest fucking thing in the world.
Oh my God.
Fucking love it.
And it almost didn't happen.
Fucking Putin.
It almost didn't happen. I turned the deal down for 2 years. Matter of fact, when I accepted the deal, when I finally greenlit the deal, I was in Queens, New York, going to a Cuban restaurant with the Cuban.
No.
We're under the whatever train. And it's crazy. I'm talking to Jeff Google, the other greatest agent in the world, and Reed. And we're talking about this. And they said, why don't you want to do this burger thing? I said, because they won't be able to hold the line culinarily of the way I want it to be done. Now, granted, I'm not a high-end chef. I mean, I can cook high-end food. I love high-end food. I think somebody plays, Eric Ripert said it one time. Eric Ripert said, he plays classical music and I play rock and roll. It's music. It's how you appreciate music. And I have so much respect for burgers. I said, there's no way they can do it. And I really got called on the carpet. My agent said, have you ever been on a cruise? I'm like, no, but I know all about them. I know everything about them. A bunch of people eating buffets and, they just slop the food out. And he goes, well, if you've never been on a cruise, you need to go on one. This is with Carnival.
Yeah.
I said, all right, I'll make a win out of this. Tell them I want to bring 40 people. Well, I travel with a big entourage. And not because I want to have an entourage. I don't need a bunch of people there, tapping me down and telling me I look great. I have the best friends in the world. A friend will help you move. My friends will help me move a body.
Yeah.
Okay? I mean, they really will. They're the best friends in the world. And so if I'm going to go have the experience, I'd much rather them have the experience with me than for me to have to tell them about it. Hence, you inviting me to your show in Vegas and me bringing 20 people. Thank you again. Very much.
Always.
Hence your case that I gave you recently. So I said, okay, my mom and dad came, Lori, her girlfriends, all my buddies, we all go on the ship. And I'd never been on a big ship like Carnival before. And it was a short cruise from LA down to Mexico and back.
I've taken that cruise.
So I bring all my food with them to show them how burgers are made. Okay, I'm going to give them a real burger tutorial, and I'm going to assure them that they do not know shit from steak sauce. Thank you, Reed. They don't know anything about making great burgers, and this will kind of, end this conversation. So I make the burgers. They eat them, and I'm telling them about this sauce that they have to put on the burger, this fortified aioli. And I said, you need to put this aioli, you need to put this sauce coast to coast on that bun. The whole bun has to be coated. Because in burgers, you need that fat. You're going in 80-20, you're cooking a bunch of the fat out, you need the moisture, you need the flavor. But I want to enhance what people would call mayonnaise. I want to enhance it. It's another vehicle to get flavor in. So I'm standing there, and all these Indian chefs are at attention, watching me very astutely. And I said, so you put the sauce on, it goes coast to coast. So that night, we go downstairs in the galley and we go down to the main kitchen, and the Indian chefs. So Indian chefs cook the ships.
Primarily. As a matter of fact, if you're lucky enough ever to go down in the galley where they're cooking, they have the Indian stuff. They just cook for each other. And it's the greatest stuff I've ever put in my mouth.
It's the greatest Indian food I've ever had.
You weren't allowed to go on that cruise because you're pregnant, but it was one of the greatest. I'm pointing to Stacy, not Guy. But it's the greatest food Yes, they're amazing chefs.
So with that being said, I go down there. We're having this Indian meal that is mind-blowing. So the Indians cook the ship, the Italians drive the ship, the Germans fix the ship. That's kind of break it up, but that's kind of how it is.
It's kind of cool.
So the Indian chefs are so disciplined. That night, having some drinks, down there eating this lavish Indian dish. All the Indian chefs are so enamored with them. They're all eating the burgers over there. They're chowing the burgers, lamb burgers and short rib burgers and all this. And I said, okay, you got that little snack bar upstairs at the pool. It's maybe 2 a.m.
Yeah.
I said, get you, all your buddies in white T-shirts, no chef coats tomorrow, doing a burger joint. We're going to do a pop-up. Here's what I want. 500 pounds of meat, 20 bags of potatoes. Here's the laundry list. I give it to him. And I'll see you there tomorrow, 9 a.m. And all my buddies were like, yeah, we're going to be there at 9. We don't stop partying until maybe 2, 3 in the morning, 3 in the morning. So we get there. We are hungover. And all the things that I had said to them are now on a dry erase board. The Chili Maximus, the Plain Jane, because I told a burger with nothing on it is a Plain Jane. And they've written it all down. And it says, all burgers will be served with LTPO, lettuce, tomato, onion, and pickle.
Yeah.
They get SMC, again, me just ranting, super melted cheese. And they get, I'm like, oh shit. And they get donkey sauce. And we go out and we teach these guys how to make burgers our way. Cheese sauce, the whole thing. And it goes viral on the ship. I mean, when I talk about, it would have been the equivalent of like, it would be like, I don't know what the word, Wolfgang Puck showed. I mean, I can't do that to Wolfgang Puck. He's too big. Something gnarly just went down.
Yeah.
Hundreds of people in line. We cook out of burgers. And we came off of the ship and everybody's like, wow, that was fun. That was a really cool thing. And boy, if they weren't on my ass about doing this deal, they were on it now. Like, we have got to do this. And I'm like, I'll do it. They said, why now? Why are you going to change your tune? I said, because those chefs will cook and will cook to the exact point that I want. And we have a burger joint now on every single ship in Carnival. And we have a new concept. Well, not new now, but called Pig and Anchor. And the history, and I'm such great friends with everybody in Carnival, and I love them. And they help with our charity. They donate, they've donated millions of dollars to the Fieri Foundation. And they just hold the line. And they say that the funniest thing is they had to move it from where it was on the ship because it started to clog the environment where
it's on the Lido deck now.
And they put it in the back of the ship and they line them up by the hundreds. But they say the hardest thing is people get on the ship, don't go to their stateroom. They take their luggage and they get in line to go get a burger.
It's the best fucking burger I've ever had every time. Every time.
And the key to it is, just like great comedy, don't make it too complicated.
Yeah.
Make sure they can understand it. Do great ingredients. We make great brioche buns. We slice the lettuce super thin. I mean, every single piece. Being that a burger is so simple, it's kind of like playing music acoustically.
Yeah.
You better be able to sing because there ain't no auto-tune, baby. There's no synthesizer that's going to get you through this. You got to be able to sing. So when you make a burger, it's got to be every single facet to the point of toasting both sides of the bun.
It's the best thing in the world. Now, I want to talk to you about your dad. Well, I am lucky enough to still have my dad. I called him this morning. Our dads are so important, and you had such a connection with your dad, and I feel like he's the guy that turned you into who you are today. But even when you just say he was a submariner in Vietnam, what an enriched character you get to raise you. I would just, if you give me, just tell me about your dad.
I don't know what wizardry you have in your bag of tricks over there, but it's the hardest thing for me to talk about because it really was the it really was turning on the lights after the greatest play you've ever seen in your life. I lived this not angelic, because I had some hardships. We lost my sister 17 years ago, and then watching my parents go through that was the worst thing in the world. I mean, I can't ever understand how a parent can lose a child. It makes me cringe. And so here I watched my parents lose my sister to cancer, and my dad loved my mom so much. My dad's whole life was to take care of my mom, who's a crazy redhead. And I said for years, and Lori knew this really well, that, when my dad dies, I mean, it's sick enough, Bert, that I wished I would die before my dad died. I mean, I just could not fathom the world without my dad. My dad knew me better than any person's ever known me. And we had this incredible friendship, partnership, father-son relationship. I mean, we didn't do a lot of things together. Like, he doesn't hunt. My dad didn't hunt. Yeah. My dad gave two shits about cars. He was a really good cook, super about family. I mean, my parents could have opened their business in San Francisco and been 100 times more successful in business, but they wanted to live in a small town and raise their kids in a community where they really could have connection with their kids. They were phenomenal parents, best parents in the world.
It's a very big selfless act.
Amazingly selfless. And sometimes I wear guilt about being on the road, not as much with Hunter at that age, but with Ryder. I wore guilt for quite a while about being gone. But I also knew that I had a chance to change Hunter and Ryder's life. And Jules, my nephew, my sister's son, who we raised, had a chance to change their lives forever by taking the opportunity that I had and playing it to its fullest and getting them to a point where they will be able to have a foundation that can help elevate them. It's like kind of like the higher the diving board you can get to, the greater the performance you can achieve, and the greater the opportunity is for you to go on to another level. Like, what's your launch pad, essentially?
Yeah.
But my dad was, helped me open my restaurants.
Where was he from?
He was from a little town called Powhatan Point, Ohio, home of coal miners. There were all coal miners in this town.
Was his dad a coal miner?
His dad was a coal miner. It's my grandfather. And my grandfather died on his own birthday. He was 45 years old, and he died on his own birthday when my dad was 15. So my dad
I'm going to slow you down for a second. Your dad lost his dad at 15.
Yeah.
What does that do to him? My dad lost his dad when he was 13, and it did things to him.
Right. And you said something about that. I read something about that with your dad when he came on your podcast.
Yeah.
But my dad was this self-made man.
Yeah.
His Uncle Al, who was the kind of the fix-it, do-everything guy in the small town of Powhatan, raised my dad, or helped raise my dad with my grandma. My grandma was a school teacher. But this dude could do everything. He was a jack of all trades and a master of none, he used to tell me. But he could do anything. I mean, all my friends called my dad for advice. My dad could fix anything, do anything, create anything. So he flunked out of his first round of college when he was really young, 17. And the choice was go to the coal mines or try to do college. And he went by the recruiter, and the recruiter, he said, "Can you have me in San Diego in 3 days?" He went to get out of Ohio, the snow of Powhatan Point. And he said, "Yep." And in 3 days, my dad was in San Diego. So he got there this is the funniest story, Bert. He was in boot camp, and they walked into the barracks of everybody starting their third day of boot camp. And they said, "Can anybody in here play the trumpet?" Because somebody had been sick or fallen out of the bugle corps. And my dad had been in a rock and roll band. He knew how to play the guitar a little bit. He played the drums for the rock and roll band, played a little piano. I guess he raised his hand. He didn't know how to play the goddamn trumpet.
Figure it out. It sounds like it's going to be not the job. What? It doesn't sound like a bad job.
But I'm getting out of boot camp.
Yeah.
So he goes to the drum and bugle corps. And he learns, literally teaches himself, because he was a great musician. Never passed being in the rock and roll band in the 50s. And he plays the drum. So he's in the drum and bugle corps. So he bypasses boot camp. Then they come around and said, "Well, who wants to be, what do you want to do?" And he read all the things, and they said he said submarines. They made the most money. They ate the best food, and they traveled around the world. He didn't want to be stuck at a base.
Yeah.
So he said, I'll take submarines. So he goes on submarines. And he was one of the guys trained on the submarine that knew every job. Certain people got trained to know every single, most people on the submarine are pretty cross-utilized trained, but my dad knew everything. So he gets out of the military, meets my mom. They get married in 6 weeks.
Wow.
Not pregnant. They just get married in 6 weeks. And she was marrying a guy that was in the Peace Corps, but met my dad while her boyfriend was in the Peace Corps, broke up with the guy. They
called him up and said, peace.
My grandparents were not happy with the fact that she was marrying this ex-submariner because my grandfather was an attorney in the Navy. Well, long story short, they leave there. They moved to Southern California, to Whittier. They had $50 and a gas card, and they moved to Whittier, all the way from Columbus, Ohio, where I was born. This guy made everything. This guy made his whole life. And his only interest in life was his family. The only thing he cared about. He didn't have a hunting hobby. He didn't have a drinking hobby. He didn't have a bunch of buddies. Great man and known very well in our community, was the guy that would do anything for anybody. But his whole dedication in life was our family. Anytime I had an interest in something, my dad backed me up. So when I was kicked out of the Kool-Aid business because I had a purple arm because I made the Kool-Aid with my arm, and he was really upset about it. But I ate all these soft pretzels one time when we were skiing up in Tahoe. And he said, what'd you have for lunch? I said, pretzel. And he goes, I gave you $5. I said, yeah, I had a pretzel. And he goes, you had 10 pretzels? I said, yeah, have you ever had one of these soft pretzels? I'd never seen one before. Mustard and salt. I mean, it's the greatest thing in the world. He says, why don't you open a pretzel business? Granted, I'm in 5th grade. So we get home, he takes me to the bank, makes me fill out a loan paper. I'm 5th grade, Bert.
Yeah.
I had to go get some of my money out of my thing, make my bank account with like $13, get a checking account. And they made me go and talk to Henry Weller, the bank president, and get a loan for $300 to start my pretzel business called this. What year is this? 1980? The Awesome Pretzel. That's how I started. So then I spent the year with my dad every day after school building the pretzel cart where we steamed the pretzels, and there was a little cart on the back of a 3-wheel bike. Every part of my life was that way. This guy, if I showed an interest, he made me work for it, but he participated. So when I started my first restaurant, he sold his business, the Western clothing store and saddle shop. He and my mom moved to Santa Rosa, 4 hours south of Humboldt County, Northern California. And he worked with me building the restaurants because we didn't have any money, loaned me the money to buy my half of the business. And it was just that way, man. This guy was just a stoic hero dad. And when he got sick, it was the most horrible. My sister dying was the worst. But now my dad's sick. And he says, I'm not dying. He said, I got to be here for your mom. The dude lived with pancreatic cancer for 6 years. 6 years. Nobody lives with pancreatic cancer for 6 years. He got the Whipple surgery, which is worse than 3 heart transplants. And the thing that I had said throughout my childhood and throughout my adulthood and so forth, and Lori knew this really well, is I will lose my mind when my dad dies. I will lose my mind. I will be unconsolable. I'm not going to be able to carry on. I'm probably going to quit the Food Network. I'm probably going to go away for a while. Do not, prepare our kids for this. This is going to be like the end of me.
I've said this so many times to my wife that sometimes I get phone calls and I go, it's going to be the call.
So he gets sick and we go through pancreatic cancer. And I watch him dwindle away through the years. Still stoic. Still, we're building a house in Mexico. He stays on that project. We stay on it. And he had that pill or this thing to do the right of life type, take yourself out. And he talked to me about it, told me about it. I'm like, I don't even want to listen to this shit.
Yeah.
But long story short, he didn't do it. And he hung on for so long that I was like, Dad, I mean, I'm talking to him. I was there every night. I slept at the house for 2 weeks, the last 2 weeks of his life. I said, Dad, I got you, man. I got Mom. I got everything. We're handled. We're good. Go. And I was there, just me. And he passed. My mom was asleep. And it was like this lesson. Don't look at me. It was like this lesson that he taught me in this time that I was there and I was present. It happened over my birthday. You know, my birthday, I had my birthday and there was no birthday party this year. There was no anything this year. I was there at the house. And when he went, it was almost like maybe a bit of relief because he wasn't suffering, or a bit of, we'd had our time, we spent our time, we talked about it, we knew it was coming. But somehow he did that same crazy educational, teach me the lesson, through the example, with the whatever. And he died. I mean, I did lose my shit. Don't get me wrong. I was dark for a couple weeks. But it was actually a much more holistic understanding and comprehensible experience. But I learned some things that I share with people and I say on a regular basis. I'm glad I never got that phone call that he was wiped out in a car accident or had a heart attack. And we never know when that's going to happen. But one of the things we abuse so much in our life, in our culture, especially the Western culture, is we take so much for granted. I was in Africa and they said, one of these old guys said to me, he goes, so interesting how you all live for tomorrow and the next day. And we live the whole day today. And I look at it and go, how many times do we not pick up the phone when somebody calls because we're busy? Or how many times are we going to call them tomorrow? Or how many times are we going to get together? And we are burning so many beautiful chances and opportunities to tell people, I love you. We don't say that enough. We don't say I love you. I say I love you to my friends all the time. Some of my friends think it's really weird. You know, that guy's being a hippie. He says I love you. But I say I love you. And Bert, I do love you. I mean, I love you like I love you as a friend. I love you as an entertainer. I love you as a person, what you do. And I just don't think that that is something we do enough of. And so when he died, it reminded me, one chance. There's one run at this. There's no dress rehearsal. So it was actually, as much as I thought it was absolutely going to wipe me off the face of the earth, it is actually probably one of the most beautiful life lessons, probably the biggest lesson he ever taught me. And the fact that I'm able to have this conversation with you and not cry is really remarkable, because it's not often, especially with you upset.
It's so close to me right now.
Yeah. But I will tell you, and I say it to everybody, and you hear it from people say it, while you have your dad, please go take him on that trip to Poland he wants to go to.
Ooh.
You know, please call him and say, we finished the house in Mexico. That's what he wanted more than anything. It's the last place we had our really best last hang was in Mexico. And Mexico is such a special place to us. We have this great house down there, which wouldn't have happened if he had not pushed me to build it.
Yeah.
But no, being a dad, when everybody asks me what's the greatest achievement of your life, being Hunter, Ryder, and Jules, Hunter and Ryder are my sons, but Jules is my nephew, like my kid. That is my greatest achievement. I get more excited and success out of their successes than anything I've ever achieved.
You are almost as good as a dad as your burgers on Carnival Cruise.
I love it.
No, you are, dude. I see the pride that you have in your boys, and it's admirable. And you have a partnership with them and a friendship with them and a mentor. The way you are for everything is and the other thing that I think is really cool is you're seamless with your boys. You don't turn into someone else. You're just who you are, and who you are is beautiful, man. You are the American dream. You are my friend. You are everyone's fucking favorite guy to show when you show up in a room. I remember Bobby Lee going, "Fucking Guy Fieri's here."
He didn't say Guy Fieri because he screwed it up on his show 9,000 times.
I correct everyone every fucking goddamn time. I correct him every fucking time. It's not that hard to learn. It's Guy Fieri, Guy Fieri, Guy Fieri, Guy Fieri. And it's Bert Kreischer, not Bert Chrysler. Brother, thank you for doing this. And thank you for sharing that about your dad. I'm going through, my parents are getting older, and everyone seems to be losing their goddamn dad.
Well, the thing is, and you're setting yourself up not for failure, you're setting yourself up for success, because it's that preparation and it's that recognition and that awareness. And yes, it's scary. I mean, you're going to go through the scary thing with your kids, as you probably already have, especially having daughters, which is, you're a stronger man than me for sure. But I'm honored to do this. And I think that what you've been doing for people in these podcasts, from the wild outlandish to the down home on the leather couch smoking cigars, to what you do on stage and how you share your stories. And you are the master storyteller. I mean, I don't know when the books are going to start, but when you start to pen what goes on in that mind, I think you're going to be one of the educators, because you can do it through story. There's so many, that's how the old timers did it. That's how the Indians did it. That's how so many people, so many cultures used to give the message through story.
Yeah.
And it's that adage of, do you want to give them the fish or do you want to teach them to fish?
Yeah.
And so often I like to do it through analogy, because they don't get it right off the bat, but then they come to, that's what that meant.
Yeah.
And continue, my friend. And thank you, because I don't talk about my dad usually in these settings, because I can't do it without bawling my eyes out. And not that I'm scared to cry. I think crying is one of the greatest things in the world. I mean, I think
it's the coolest thing you can do.
Yeah.
I do it a lot.
Well,
I'm very much in touch with my emotions, and I'm in a weird place. I think at 52 is when you start realizing your mortality, and the things that you're saying that you've come upon, where you say, we're not promised tomorrow. Tomorrow's a fool's bet. Today's the gamble. Today's what you put your money on. And I think you start realizing that right when you turn 50, up until 52. And then, I mean, my friends that are your age, like you and Joe, and there's a bunch, Ron, all the guys I know, that's the dudes I look up to. Like your dad said, I didn't know shit when I was a kid, or I can't believe how much I didn't know.
Yeah.
I start
the older I get, the more I realize I didn't know shit.
Yeah. And I look to you guys going like, guys, it's like Big Brother shit, And
the great thing is, though, as soon as you drop, and I'm not saying you, I'm saying everybody.
Yeah.
As soon as you drop the facade of knowing it all, or that you don't need to learn it, like when you really let it down, like the old timers are the best ones, because they kind of just like, I got a great story. My dad farted in the middle of some big dinner, and my kids were just mortified. And he goes, when you're 79 and you can still fart, not shit your pants, he goes, you take the shot. He goes, what do I give a shit if anybody thinks around here? I'm happy. And my kids came to me and they're like, and I go, when you get that old, when you've made it this far, you don't have to, you don't give a shit what anybody says. And that is, quit giving a shit what anybody says. Live your life the way you want to live and be. As long as you're not hurting yourself, hurting anybody else, as long as you're doing good things for the world.
Yeah.
My biggest thing, my end game, and I know we're timed out and we got to go, but my end game, Lori says, what else can you do? I'm like, what else is on your schedule? She goes, you work so much. We got done with the wedding and I was on the road the next day. And I said, I'll sleep when I'm dead. I said, right now, as long as it's fun and as long as I'm making a difference and as long as it's inspiring or creating jobs or, that's one of my big things right now. So many of my brothers and sisters in the business aren't working. So I'm trying to make new shows. And I think that you put this all into perspective and do it while you enjoy it, and then be willing to, cut the cord when it's not, cut bait when you're not doing it. But the biggest thing is my philanthropy. The Guy Fieri Foundation is about our motto is serving those who serve us. We support veterans, first responders, and active military. It's people that have made the ultimate commitment, the ultimate sacrifice for our country.
Yeah.
And not just them, but their families. You know, here you go and send your daughter or your son or your husband or your wife or your grandpa over to, you know, work and save to, make this country free. Or you are the cop that's got to go into the mall by himself and there's a shooter. Or you're the paramedic that has to go take the burnt bodies out of a car. I mean, there's so many people that do so much to make this a great country, and how we don't have our sights on making sure that they're great. So when we started to notice that inside of, it was actually the fires in Northern California, I'm like, I see my mission now that will live on forever, and that is the Fieri Foundation. So we have a rescue trailer on the West Coast, one on the East Coast, one soon to be in the Midwest. And when a disaster happens, we want to be there to support these first responders. And we were down here in LA. We fed 25,000 meals to first responders. We didn't feed everybody, and we didn't get to feed everybody the entire time, but we did our part to make sure that people that are giving the ultimate sacrifice know that there's people in the private sector and famous chefs and famous comedians and famous that are there and believe in you and thank you. And so that's what the foundation's about. So the last chapter of my career will be probably primarily about philanthropy.
You're an inspiration, dude. You've been an inspiration in my career as long as I've known you, and just thank you, man. Thank you for doing this.
Blast. Bro, I want to do, can we not make this once in a lifetime? Please, can I come back at least once a year?
Yeah, please.
I mean, I want to do this because I want to come hang out in the Think Dojo. The Think Dojo.
We came up with a great TV show today.
Dude, I don't have the other page thing. I don't know what that is really. I do kind of know, but I don't have it. Yeah. But that I think is hysterical. Yeah. Your OnlyFans. But I do think that our fraternity philanthropy, us showing up, you doing the comedy, we find a music act, I do the food, we roll into a city and blow a fraternity up.
Yeah.
Preferably one of our ATO houses.
Yeah.
Would be so much fun. And the great thing is, between your resources and mine, we don't need anybody to pay for it.
Nope.
We can pay for it between our connections. I'm really serious about that, by the way.
By the way, I think I've already started dreaming big about it, and I was like, we could do a lot. We could do a lot.
And the thing about it is, I love to inspire the younger generation. I know there's a lot of people that think they're going to become billionaires off of their accounts. And I think some are making it. But the other thing I want to remind people of is hard work outweighs talent 10-1.
Yeah.
And we need to re-inspire our younger generation that they've got to do hard work. I don't care how great you are at something, hard work. And that right there is one of the messages I always try to send. It's like, hey, what is it like? Should I try out for the hard work?
Hard work.
I wouldn't have been able to do what I did if I didn't know hard work.
Just get up early. That's it. Starts with getting up early, and then starting your day, and then go to sleep late. That's hard work.
Just because it's all there and you can eat it, you can drink it all, doesn't mean you should.
Do the shit that makes you uncomfortable. That's some hard work.
I love you, man.
I love you to death. Thank you.
Good times.
That was a great fucking podcast. This episode was brought to you by The Machine.